Kyle and I are in the bar drinking a drink-off. Noah's Mill versus Booker's. Noah's, we know, is made by Kentucky Bourbon Distillers. It's a blend of 4 to 18-year-old whiskeys from 3 different distilleries with 3 different mash bills. Booker's is made by Jim Beam. It's all 6 years old, and it's 130 proof. They're both about $50. And Kyle is swirling one in his glass right now.
And I want to talk a little bit about drinking whiskey, because we get so caught up on age statements, and David has been kind of grappling with age statement whiskeys versus non-age statements and what people think about what they're getting, and it's something I think we need to get over as a culture. You know, it is perceived value when you see 18 years old on a single malt or on a bourbon, but that isn't the whole story. I think that people need to get beyond what they think something should taste like. David and I both have had, you know, poor expressions of older whiskeys. You know, age isn't the magic ingredient to making a good whiskey, and we have to get over that and really think about intrinsically what's in the bottle as opposed to what the bottle says. Because really, who cares what numbers on the outside of the bottle? It's more about what's inside the bottle and how it tastes. So we have 2 expressions that, you know, aren't necessarily the oldest things. And some people will say, well, why am I going to pay $55 for a whiskey that doesn't have a number on it? You know, there could be whiskey as young as 4 years old in here. Well, look at it as a value-added product. The gentleman who blends this spends his life drinking whiskey, thinking about whiskey, improving his palate for whiskey, and thinking about what's going to taste good in a bottle. And I think that's something worth paying for. He has a better bourbon palate than I do, probably will ever have. Access to people in Kentucky. I'm certainly not going to fly down to Kentucky and, you know, find the barrels that I like and invest and make this blend of whiskeys. And I'm happy to, you know, drink his idea of what good bourbon is. So we need to get out of the mindset of, oh, this is good because it says it's 18 years old. We need to get into the mindset of saying this is good because it tastes good, and it tastes like a great expression of bourbon. So I'm gonna try both of these, the Booker's and the Noah's Mill, and, you know, we'll see how it goes. This, from what people perceive, should be better because it's on average, you know, perhaps a little bit older. It's from a storied facility, distillery that, you know, has been known for making good whiskey, and we'll compare it to this. So
well, I think too we need to think about the fact that we're dealing with a distillery direct bottle, which is the Booker's should, if you follow the theory that the distillery should have all the best bourbon, that the Booker's should exemplify the best of Jim Beam's stock. Was why would they choose bad bourbon to represent their high proof, kind of higher end batch? And again, it's a 7-year-old bourbon for $50 at high proof, and we're comparing that to Noah's Mill, which is it's a marriage of bourbons from anywhere from 4 to 18 years of age, according to Drew from Kentucky Bourbon Distillers. 3 different whiskeys with 3 different mash bills. Which one are you on right now?
I'm on the Booker's, and it is big, very wood driven, lots of hot notes. I mean, I added water because it's at cask strength, but it is still a very powerful whiskey. Wood is the predominant flavor. It's very kind of 1 or 2 dimensional. There's a little bit of cinnamon and spice associated with that wood, a little bit of vanilla, but it is definitely big in your face bourbon. I think, you know, if you like that very aggressive sort of bourbon, it's something interesting.
Yeah, I felt the same way. It's kind of just big vanilla.
It's big and unapologetic.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
And so now, Noah's Mill.
It's a healthy pour.
It is a healthy pour. We'll add a little water to it.
I'm going to stand here while you drink the whole thing.
There we go. So this on the nose is already, you know, much sweeter and a little bit richer. It has some nice kind of toasty notes to it. Definitely, there's a little bit more corn driven, but it is more expansive. There's more than just hot wood going on.
It's not just fruit either. It's actually not fruit. Whereas something like Four Roses, you can get a lot of red berries or kind of big fruit tones. This is more about the corn, I think.
This has a lot of nice kind of toasty notes. I get some kind of sweet graham cracker and definitely a little bit of that corn influence. It doesn't taste older. It doesn't taste younger. It tastes more complex, and it tastes better integrated, to be honest with you. There's high tones and there's low tones and there's complexity to it, where this is just, you know, straight ahead, full speed. Even at high proof, this is really quite interesting, and it makes you think about it. And I think that if you put these in front of me blind, I would gravitate to this because I like whiskeys with complexity to them, and I like whiskeys that make you think about it, and it just tastes good. So in a brown bag, I would pick this, and then I would learn that it was somebody's idea of what good whiskey is. I would say Kentucky.
Well, and it's also not inherently less expensive, or I'm sorry, more expensive than the Booker's. You know, you would think that because one is being purchased possibly from Beam, and one is Beam from Beam, that the purchased one should be more expensive because they have to pay the extra fee of buying the bourbon in the first place.
And it's sort of the stigma that blended Scotch whiskey has had for the past couple of years, and now is coming back with Compass Box, and Rattray made a blended whiskey. And you can take parts and make a better sum from it. So you can have synergy, and somebody who has the freedom to go buy bourbon from other places theoretically can do a better job. Beam can't go and buy bourbon from Heaven Hill and say, oh, I'm going to put these together. These guys have the freedom to make something that has the potential to be better than the sum of its parts. So I think this is so interesting, and you get to drink an idea of what somebody has about good bourbon, and you shouldn't be put off because there's not an age statement on the label.
And there it is, Booker's versus Noah.